Welcome, everyone, to our Wednesday meeting for November 23. I'm your host, Dan, host and MC, Dan Wassink, and our goals here, as most of you know, are to try to foster a community to share and help each other. We do that by providing entertaining and informative weekly meetings. We hope they are, at least. We also try to help you with your Apple devices through informative classes, which are starting in January, and we help each other through Groups.io. So check that out as well. If you want to find the latest information, including our class information, all you have to do is just go to naplesmug.com. We have the latest updates there. And as I mentioned before, we are also, trying to help each other through Groups.io. If you have a question on anything, go to Groups.io, and everyone here is a member of Groups.io, and then you can go and ask there. And it's like I say, it's a community involvement where we try to help each other with that. Anyone can sign up. There's a contact form on there. If you know somebody that might be interested in all this, send them over to Naples Mug, and we'll get them on a free trial even. A couple of announcements we have here. Photo books that Mike talked about last week is now online, so you can go to our YouTube channel. And again, you can find that on our website. It was a great presentation by Mike, and I'm still playing around with the My Albums, which he talked about, which seems to be pretty cool. Still toying with some different ideas with that. Also, Mike has extended an invitation to one of he's from Suffolk, England, and they are going to be having a meeting on limiting damage. So that is going to be on Wednesday, November 30, and he has extended an invitation to that. So you can use our website. All of the contact information goes to him, and then he'll get you all that information. We have our president, Eckert, on with us. And Eckert, you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes, thank you, Dan. Normally I try to say very little because I feel that our meetings are so great and the presentations are so excellent. So the audience will gain very little if I add anything to it. But once in a while I feel I should say a few things. And I really want to, first of all, thank you for being here today, a day before Thanksgiving here in the United States. And I believe that's the reason why we don't have as many members as we usually have, because people are already up and going and visiting their families and so forth. But you might remember that 2 weeks ago I recognized Dan. And the reason why I recognized him, we have these great meetings, and there are really two people behind the scene who prepare these meetings, and that's Dan and Chita. And I recognized Dan a few weeks ago, and I promised also to say a few words about Chita. She joined our organization almost 4 years ago, out of Michigan, at a time when Naples Mug was really a Naples Mug organization. We had really no other member. All members were resident, or at least part-time residents of Naples. But Chita joined, and she and I really began to work on the Zoom program way before Corona hit us. And we were so lucky and fortunate that we developed Zoom to a level that we could continue our meetings when Corona started immediately without any interruption. But Chita has really contributed something to our organization. She has become a board member, and she's also our chief audiologist, I should say, because whenever we have problems with the sound, with her excellent hearing, she spots it right away and contributes to the higher quality for our meetings. But I didn't want to really say that. But I wanted you to know that Chita, as Dan, they're really professionals, and while they enjoy being part of our organization, but in their real professional life, they live and strive for Apple-related stuff. And I wanted to recognize that Chita does really Apple-related things for a living, and she does that very well. And if any one of you really need some help, some assistance on an Apple-related matter, I believe you should contact Chita, and she may help you in a professional way and in an excellent and a high-quality way. So that's why I wanted to say about Chita, and I wanted to say one other thing, that while she is so precious and so important to us, she really brings fun to our meetings. She has a sense of humor, but she is very lively, and I think we have really all benefited from her joining our organization. And again, thank you, Chita, for being part of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such a sweet commentary. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yes,
All right.
thank you, Chita. All right. Keeping us all in line is Chita. So anything you want to add to that, Chita, after that great introduction?
No.
All right. All right. Today we're going to be talking about holiday gifts, and we have four of us. It's going to be Chita, Mike, myself, and Mitch. And we all kind of got together and came up with some different ideas that we think would be great gifts, or what we really like. So we're going to start it off with Chita. So go ahead and take the stage, Chita.
Okay, and just in case. All right, can everyone see my screen?
We can.
All right, wonderful. All right, thank you. I want to say hello and welcome to our 2022 holiday gift guide presentation. I want to thank you for joining us, and I know it's a very, very busy weekend for everyone, and we wish you a happy holidays wherever you are. All right, so what we're going to do here today is there are going to be four of us, myself, Mike, Dan, and Mitch, and we're going to show you ideas about items that we use or have purchased recently that we think would help contribute to your holiday gift giving spirit, even if that gift giving is only to you. So hopefully we'll show you something good. And as Brian said earlier, we cost him quite a lot of money last year. So maybe we'll do the same for some of you. All right, so with that, I want to talk to you about two stands that I purchased. And I am always trying to find ways to work efficiently. I spend my life in front of the computer. I'm working on that. There's a 12-step program, yes. And I have a stand, or wanted a stand, to get my laptop off of my desktop so that I could tuck things under my desktop. So I bought these two stands from Amazon with the intention of sampling them, see which one worked best, and then sending the other one back. So here on the left, you see the specs about this particular stand that I purchased, and it's very sturdy. I'm not going to go through everything, just some of the highlights of what this stand was for me. Extremely sturdy. I can elevate it. It elevates off of my desktop, and I believe the height was something like 3 inches. It weighs about 2 pounds, and it says that this stand can support like 52 pounds or 24 kilograms. That's a lot. So my little laptop was nothing for what it could do. It allows ventilation underneath the laptop. And again, it's just very, very sturdy. So what I wanted to show you is that I want you to notice these items here, these holes that are aligned across the stand. The stand comes in 2 pieces. And I also want you to notice this. I want you to notice the angle that the laptop is sitting at. So this particular stand, the laptop sat at a 9-degree angle. It's $24.99 at Amazon. So let's look at the part that the computer sits on. It has a rubberized seating, and it's very, your computer does not wobble, doesn't move around. It's very sturdy. And if you look at the next image, you see the screws in the back. And these screws allow you to align up with those holes so that you can lift the riser up or down depending on how high you want it off your desk. And again, you can see here how you can raise it up, raise it down, adjustable height. The stand does not tilt though. It's just at a set 9-degree angle. So here's my laptop sitting on my desktop on a very good day. Most days I've got all kinds of things sitting around, papers, pens, you name it. And so I wanted to lift this up so I could tuck some of those things underneath underneath the laptop so that I could use my desktop more efficiently. So here's a picture of my laptop on the stand. And here's a picture of how high it sits up. So this is perfect for sitting at my desktop. I work on an external keyboard so I can reach over if I need to work on the trackpad or something. And the 3 inches is perfect. You're not raising your arm up too high or too low, and you're not cocking your hand at an uncomfortable level. So here is a picture of my stuff tucked underneath. This works perfectly. So I tried the other one, and here's the other one. This stand has a vertical column, and this particular stand, it raises up and down vertically, and it does go up higher than the previous stand. And on the left, you can see all of the specs about it. It weighs, I actually had to weigh this because the information on Amazon is not really correct. So I had to weigh it. It weighs 1.7 pounds. It says it may support 8 pounds. I think that's wrong as well. So it's very sturdy. And just to tell you, the stands were pretty much similar. I sort of couldn't decide which one to keep. Very close in what they did. They raised the computer off of the desktop at the same height. So what was the determining factor here? The determining factor was this. It was a 15-degree angle. And that 15-degree angle is very telling. But let's take a look at the stand. This particular stand comes in 3 pieces. And you can see that the rubberized area where the laptop sits, both stands are very sturdy. You place the top of the stand and the column together, and then you put the footing together. And again, very similar. Air ventilates around each one. And you see here's the screw where you unscrew it, raise the column or lower the column, and then, raise it to whatever height you want. So what was the deciding factor? I actually decided to keep both of these stands. This is the stand with the 15-degree incline. And typing on this stand in this manner was uncomfortable. But I was in a situation where I was on my other desktop. I wanted to pick my MacBook Air up, and I wanted to type with it. So I just grabbed the stand, put it down, put the laptop on it, and I started typing. And again, it was uncomfortable until I did something instinctively. So as I'm typing, I'm thinking, okay, this stand is going back. I'm not going to use it. My hands are cocked at an uncomfortable angle. So I'm going to pack it up and send it back. I'm still typing, and I just instinctively did this. And once I did that and situated everything to my angle of viewing, it was the perfect angle for typing as you're standing on a low desktop. So I now have 2 stands, and I didn't anticipate this. So great stand, very sturdy, allows circulation, and my picks for if you want to get a stand to use as you are standing on a low desktop. All right. My next item that I want to talk to you about, these are 2 items that I used over the summer. And I tell you, I cannot recommend these 2 items highly enough. I needed power as I was getting ready for that September presentation that I did. And I needed mobile power for when I'm out filming, to recharge my iPad, my MacBook Air, my phone, my watch, anything. This particular device just was stellar. It is a portable bank, and it has an AC output. It has a USB-A. It has a USB-C. Here's the power button. And this is just another indicator of what that looks like. 74 watts. And here are the LED indicators that show you how much power. This device actually sat unused on my desktop for 3 weeks. And when I turned it back on, it was still at full power, full charge. It also has a fan at the bottom. And it helps with if the device gets hot, the fan helps keeps this particular device cool. This has been a little workhorse that I just love. And I'll put all the information for all of my items in the chat so you can have the links to them. But I highly recommend this. If you need power for any device at any time, I highly recommend this. And the second item that I want to recommend was the little adapter plug charger that I needed in order to power my power bank, because it does not come with one. And there's a reason, because this new technology charger also has just some amazing things in it. Taking a look at it, it's a USB-C. It comes with a 3-foot USB-C cable, and it has technology inside that allows overcurrent protection, over voltage protection, short circuit, over temperature, surge protection, interference protection, and fire resistant. So it has been a very wonderful performing little adapter to use to also help power your devices. You don't have to use it with a power bank. You can use it just as an outlet that you plug into your outlet at home. But these particular devices have just been wonderful. And also the prongs of the device collapse. So you can just put it anywhere and not have to worry about the prongs grabbing in, on anything. So with that, those are my devices, and I'm going to hand it over to Mike.
Thank you very much, Chita.
Mm-hmm.
Let me share my screen. Made floating meeting controls. So before I start talking about my recommendation, I want to share with you a story of incredible irritation and annoyance. And I suspect many of us have been through irritating periods of life like this with our Apple computers. And that is when something just refuses to work. Now, when Apple released their first cordless mouse, I shot down to the Apple store and I bought one, and I brought it home and it didn't work. And I took it back and I got another one and I brought it home and it didn't work. So for a period I gave up and I continued using my cabled mouse. When the Magic Mouse was released, I went to the Apple store and I bought one and it wouldn't work. I simply just, to this day, I don't know why. I have a friend here at Ipswich who is a Mac technician, and he came and had a look, and he absolutely couldn't understand what the problem was. If we took it outside and he used it with his machine, it worked perfectly well, but it simply would not work in this house. I have an iMac behind me, which was only purchased 6 months ago, which came with a Magic Mouse. So we had the opportunity to try another cordless mouse, and it didn't work. And then I stumbled on reviews for this creature. This is the strangest looking mouse you ever saw. I would love to be able to say, if Apple were to create a mouse, this would be the mouse, but I'm not going to, because their mouses are rubbish. This is the Tesla mouse. Absolutely fantastic piece of kit. Expensive for a mouse, but let me try and explain what you get for your money. So here's a little movie, first of all, and it's a really strange shape, but what Logitech have done is that they've examined the shape of the human hand when it's at rest, when everything is not stressed, and the fingers are slightly curved, and they've built this machine around that sort of concept. So it's the most ergonomically beautiful thing to hold that you can imagine, because your hand simply sits on it in its resting state, as it were. So you can use it for many, many hours without any irritation. It tracks on absolutely anything, and it tracks with absolute 100% precision, which was also something that I hadn't experienced here until I purchased it. It scrolls like you simply can't believe. So if you've Googled something and it's a really long page and you need to scroll from the top to the bottom, you can do so in a fraction of a second if you choose to, because the scroll wheel is notched, and so if you want to run slowly, you can do so by using by letting the notches slow it down, or you can whip through a page really quickly if you need to. So it has lots of buttons, and I'll talk about buttons in just a moment. And it works, most importantly, it works with absolutely anything. It isn't just limited to Apple. It isn't just limited to Windows. It even works, I've not tried it, but as you can see here on their advertising, it even works with iPads, should you decide to use a mouse with an iPad. It's USB-C. Charging is incredibly quick. I think I've not had to charge it many times since buying it, but I think it took about 45 minutes to go from 0 to 100%. And the 70 days battery life there is very pessimistic, because I've had lots more than 70 days out of a single charge so far. Really interesting, on its base, there's a little button and 3 LEDs. And by pressing on the little button, you can program it to work with 3 different machines. So if you have a laptop, you have a desktop, and you have an iPad, you can actually use this mouse with all 3 by simply changing station, as it were, by pressing the little button on the base. And the other remarkable thing about this mouse is that it is pre-programmed to work with a number of specifically Apple apps. So here's what the mouse looks like in normal use. So we've got a middle button, we've got a left button, we've got a right button. There's a scroller. There's a scroller on top, and there's also a scroller at the side, which will scroll horizontally. And there's a button at the bottom. Now, if like me, you spend a lot of time in Photoshop, all of those buttons have particular uses. For me, the most remarkable thing on this mouse is that I can use the scroller right in the center of the screen, which is the one that my thumb actually just naturally rests on. I can use that to change brush size. So when I'm retouching, I'm changing the brush size absolutely all the time. And normally I used to do it using the keyboard and using square bracket keys, which make the brush smaller or larger. But using this fabulous mouse, I can do it simply by rolling the scroll wheel. It's just fabulous. If you use Final Cut, again, it has a range of options to speed up your workflow. If you spend time in Safari, don't we all? Again, it has options to speed up your workflow. And even in Zoom, it has options. So I can actually start and stop my video. I can mute and unmute my mic. I can turn the volume up and down simply by pressing keys on my mouse, which means my hand never actually has to leave the mouse for anything. So it's a remarkable device. $100, quite expensive for a mouse, but easily by miles the best mouse that I've ever owned. I bought it from Amazon, and I bought it from Amazon simply because I didn't think it would work, having had so many bad experiences already with cordless mice. So I bought it in the knowledge that I could just pop it back in its box and send it back if it caused trouble. It has never dropped out in the 6 or 7 months that I've had it, not once. And I was so impressed with it that a couple of months after purchase, I went back to Amazon and I bought the companion keyboard, which looks like this. There's really not much I can say about this. It's designed for Mac. It has customizable keys. It has beautiful keystrokes because of the shape of the cup shape of all of the keys. It's comfortable, it's stable, and I'm just going to run a very short 30-second video now, and my apologies for the music, which I should have removed, but I forgot. Voila. There is nothing about these two instruments that I can't 100% recommend. And that's the end of my presentation. Thanks for listening. Oh, and sorry about the music.
And with that, we hand it over to Dan.
I'll just stop my share. Oh, can't hear you, Dan.
All right. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
See me all right? Okay.
Yes.
So I basically, I have three things here. The first one, I've been a huge fan of, this is for the audio files. I'm a huge fan of Sonos speakers. With Sonos speakers, this is what I have here. With Sonos speakers, what you can do is you can connect this up to all kinds of different music services, including Apple Music, Spotify. And you can start out with one simple, and they sound fantastic. You start out with one simple speaker like this, and then what you can do down the road, this is, I wish Apple would have bought them instead of creating their own speakers. Basically, what you can do is you can add a second one, and then it's a stereo pair. And then if you want to add a subwoofer, you can go and add a subwoofer. And then if you want to add a sound bar, you can add a sound bar. And essentially what you can do is you can fill your whole house with these speakers. Now, the reason why I originally purchased them is we used to live in a condo, and I like my music. I get that from my mom. She's still at 81 years old, still will turn up her Bose as loud as she can, and she wants a subwoofer for Christmas. That's what she just sent us as a Christmas list. But basically, when you live in a condo, you can't have that loud of music. So what I was able to do with these is you purchase, it gets expensive, but you purchase many of these. You can put one in the bathroom. This is moisture resistant, so you can use it in the bathroom. You put one in the bedroom. You put one in the spare bedroom. Put one in the office. You have the sound bar in your TV. And essentially, what you can do is turn them all on to the same music, and no matter where you are, so nothing's real loud, but no matter where you walk in your house, in your condo, anything like that, what you're able to do is basically listen to music. I'll show you the interface. They have a Mac app, an iPad app, and an iPhone app, and they all work together. I'll just show you real quick the interface on my Mac, so you can kind of see how this works. So here is the Sonos app, and you're going to see I have a bedroom speaker, bathroom speaker, dining room speaker. These are all grouped together right now. So anything that I play onto these speakers, and right now I could play Alanis Morissette, or I can go to any one of these music sources. It will play on all of these musics, all these rooms. In my office, I have it playing WAWL. This is a local radio station, so you can listen to local radio as well, as long as you stream it on the internet. So in my office, completely separate than what's playing in the other rooms. If I wanted to group this, all I have to do is say, well, I want to listen to this in the dining room too, and in the living room. And now it's going to play everything in those rooms. You have individual volume controls for them, or you can just control the whole thing just by dragging it here. And then they also have an equalizer. You can adjust the bass and treble for each individual room speaker. And if you add a subwoofer, which I have a couple of subwoofers in our 1,200 square foot house, but basically what you're able to do is adjust all the subwoofer and everything else with that. Then they also have a portable speaker, a roaming speaker, so you can connect that to your house. And then when you go out somewhere, picnic, whatever you're doing, it connects up Bluetooth to your phone or your iPad. And like I said, you have all of these different sources here. These speakers run, these speakers run about $175 right now. There's a Black Friday deal, but I think they're running about $200, and they do have voice assistant. Not necessarily, they don't have Siri, but they do have Alexa, and they have Google Home, and they also have their own. Sonos came out with their own assistant, voice assistant. So you can actually sit there and just say, hey, Sonos, play something, and it'll go and play it. Hey, Sonos, play something in the living room, and it'll go and play it in the living room. I absolutely love these things. I've had them for, probably 8-9 years, and now several of my friends have them, and I can't speak highly enough of them. Now that Apple is no longer doing their speakers, to me, it's they're just they're just wonderful. You can buy them at your local Best Buy. I'm always a fan of trying to buy it locally to keep them in business. If we keep buying from Amazon, then our local Best Buy won't be around much longer. So you can get them at Best Buy. You can even find them at your local audio store. We have a local audio store that has them as well. So search around for them. But of course, you can always get them from Amazon and from Sonos.com. So that's my first one. They are great. And yes, I think you can get them at Costco too. So my next thing that I have, this one is started out with, I'll show you this little guy. So I got one of these guys just the other day, and this is for people that have continuity camera. What you can do with this is put this on the back of your laptop, and it's magnetic. And essentially what I'm able to do is take my phone here and I can put it on the back, and now I have a webcam there. Perfect. It's great, and it works really, really well. I mean, this thing's good. My biggest problem with it is you're going to see that my laptop is at a little bit of a slight angle. This company even sent me a email saying, if you're going to use this, and we appreciate you using it, what you want to do is have your laptop screen straight up. Well, then you're looking over here. It's not looking straight at my face because my laptop is always lower. Or what they say is you put a book behind it. So then you're not putting all that weight on the laptop. And I can attest to this. I work at a local school, or I was recently reduced my hours drastically there. But the kids, they have all MacBook Airs, and they put the shell, the protective case. I can tell you with almost 100% certainty, after 3 years, those ones with the shell, those hinges on those laptops are crap. They're loose, even those little shell cases. So point being, be very, very careful with this thing. What I recommend, and actually going back to my slide, is a Joby. This thing is absolutely fantastic. And essentially, here it is. What you can do with this, I have an older one, but now they have them with magnetics, but I just put my phone in there, has a little level on there. And essentially what you're able to do is just grab this, wrap it around something. I could put it behind my laptop. You can wrap it around a telephone pole, it's all, if you're out hiking and you have a rock that is like all kind of, so this thing is absolutely fantastic. And I would recommend this guy, limited use. It is cool. It's great for portability and traveling and all that, but I would rely on a Joby. This thing is fantastic. And you can get those at joby.com as well as online at Amazon. And I believe you can get them at Best Buy too. And they're about $60, $70. They have different models. They have smaller ones if you don't like the size of the larger one there. So the Gorilla Pod is what they're called. And I can't speak highly enough about those things. Just traveling around, it really, really does work well. My third thing kind of ties in with Mike, how, he was talking about the mouse. Now that mouse, you can do the tracking and all that, but he talked about how you can have buttons do specific things. Well, in my setup here, and if you can see that my setup, I have, my MacBook Air, I have an iPad over here. I have my phone here's my phone. It's hooked up to this guy. I have a camera up here, and I need to switch between all of these different devices. If I wanted to, right now you're looking at an overhead camera. I want to go back over to me. I'll show you what I'm doing here. I hit a button. I want to go to my Keynote. There's my Keynote. I want to go to my Mac. There's my Mac. And the way that I'm doing this is with a device through some software as well. But the keyboard, the way I'm switching it is through a device called Stream Deck. And it was originally designed for people, in my case, like for streaming, hence the name Stream Deck. But what I have discovered is you can use it for a lot more than that. And essentially what this thing is is a place where you can assign all these different buttons here to do different things. So I have to upload a video into Vimeo. When I get a video done, I upload it to Vimeo, I upload it to YouTube, and then I also have to upload it to Otter, so then I can get a transcription for it. So those 3 things I have to do. Well, if we go over to, I'm going to see if we can show you this here. Go back to my camera. And here is, come on, my Stream Deck. So that's it. And all I do is just hit these buttons here. So you can see here, if I want to go to Keynote, all I have to do is just hit that button.
Can't hear you, Dan.
Sorry, I hit the mute button on here when I was showing that. So there's a mute button, and you can program these, and you can even go through and page it. So what I have here is all profiles. So you can see that when I'm doing NMUG, I hit this button, and then all the buttons are pertain to my NMUG presentations. When I am doing a lesson, I hit lesson here, and now all the buttons pertain to my different lessons. So I can easily switch cameras and all that. But outside of the cameras, like I said, you can use it for all kinds of things. It's basically keyboard shortcuts. You're going to see I have one here, this one. If I tap on that, it automatically opens up Safari into Vimeo, YouTube, and it opens up into Otter. So it just opens up those 3 tabs just by hitting one button. So essentially what you're able to do is create all kinds of different shortcuts in here. And not only, in my case, use it for cameras, but you can really use it for anything. If I go to the software here, I'm going to show you on my, let me switch back over to NMUG. And now we're going to go over to my Mac. And I have the software installed on here. Now it's not plugged into this computer, but you're still going to be able to get an idea of how this works. If I go to, where is it? Elgato Stream Deck. And there it is. So basically, here are all the, this is how easy it is to set up.
You're mute again, Dan.
Sorry about that. I keep
All right.
hitting something there. All right. So if I wanted to open up an app, I drag the open, and now I just select which app I want to open up here. We have the control center. I can set the brightness. If I had hue lights, well, I do have hue lights. I can control my, you can get different plugins for this thing. Open up folders. So you can see, basically it's a keyboard shortcut. People use it for Final Cut Pro. You could use it for iMovie if you're doing iMovie, all kinds of different things. And essentially all you have to do is just drag it over. If you go to their store, they have a store where you can download other plugins for it. Most of them are free. And that's basically how I control all of my stuff here. I'm going to hit a button to go back to myself. And I did that through the Stream Deck. Yeah. So that Stream Deck is really, really pretty cool. And they just came out with a new one. This is all buttons, but they just came out with a new one that has fewer buttons. I need more buttons, but you know, everyone's is different. It has dials on it now. So you can actually like adjust volumes, or if you're in Final Cut Pro or anything like that, where you need to zoom in and out, you'll be able to use the dial to zoom in and out. You know, if you're using Lightroom, Photoshop, anything like that, you can assign all different buttons to it and just kind of, it's almost like you have a control, you know, like you see the big editors use, you have one for your Mac. It is Mac only. So I think it is great. You're looking at about $149 up to, you know, $300, depending on which one you want. And you can get this at Amazon as well as elgato.com. So I had a problem with one of them, and I contacted Elgato. I'm the same way. I will buy stuff through Amazon because it's easy to return. But I did purchase something through Elgato, and I got to tell you, they were fantastic. I had somebody on chat within minutes, and they resolved my issue. And it wasn't even their problem. It was an Amazon problem. I bought it through an Elgato store thinking it was Elgato. Well, it wasn't actually Elgato, and they never shipped it. But Elgato took care of it for me. They were really, really good. So it wasn't even their responsibility. So Stream Deck is absolutely fantastic. I'm looking, John asked, the Stream Deck and Shortcuts app. Yep, you could do that because it has all kinds of different extensions. So yeah, it's awesome. Does it come with a mount? Okay, so I see Sonos. Sonos can play anything, as somebody said, and you can get stands for Sonos. So what I do is on my in my living room, I have the play bar for our TV, and then I have a subwoofer, and then I have 2 speakers in the back. So then basically, it's surround sound. It does do 5.1 surround sound, and the new one does Atmos. Mine's a little bit older. Yep. So I just bought stands for the ones in the back. They're behind the couch or in the back of the room. The Elgato comes with a stand as well. So those are my 3 things. And I really do say, with all honesty, these things are lifesavers for me. Well, not the music, but I wouldn't say it's a lifesaver, but they don't make my job any easier, but they make it more entertaining, because I even went as far as this little guy. I can turn my music on and off with this guy. This is a Pico, works with Hue, works with Sonos. Tap on that, it starts it. Tap on it again, I can adjust the volume and all that right from my desk here, as well as my iPhone and app, Mac and iPad. So the sound quality compared to the Apple HomePod, I'm not a big classical music fan, but if you read the audio files, they are the sound quality I think is comparable, for at least from what I've read. Apple HomePods use you can't even get the Apple ones anymore. All you can get is their little guy. I can tell you that this big guy, this is heavy. This big guy is going to sound far better than that little HomePod that you're going to get from Apple. Unfortunately, Apple kind of gave up on the audio side of it, so you can't even get those. So this guy is where you got to go if you want to do anything like that. Yeah, somebody said Loop Deck, Razer. They also make similar things with the Stream Deck, and they do, and those are good. Loop Deck is relatively new. Stream Deck's been around for a while, so there's a lot of plugins for it. Loop Deck is a little bit newer, so there's not a lot of plugins for it compared to Stream Deck. So, but they both are good. So that is those are what I recommend. And like I say, I can't say enough about these 3 items. They really are fantastic. And I'll end with, because I know everybody's continuity camera, really, really cool, really, really slick. I can pull this apart, put a meg, so it'll charge the phone as I'm using it. Just be very careful. And I say this with 100% honesty. Boom, you're going to ruin the hinges here. So if you use this, prop up your display, or put it like that and bend down, kind of thing. So that's what I have. I'll throw it over to Mitch now.
Thank you, Dan. All right, Mitch, are you here?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Mitch, talk. We may have an audio issue again. We got a big audio issue. Keep talking. We cannot hear you well, Mitch, at all.
Let me try this.
All right, talk.
Just a second.
Okay, sounds better already.
I sound better already?
Yeah, a little bit, a lot better, but yes, go ahead. We'll let
All
you know
right,
if we have issues.
I'm going to go ahead. Let me share my screen.
Mhm.
I am having audio problems. I restarted and everything else, and so I don't know what the problem is. Okay. So, here we go. Uh, the main product that I wanted to recommend, can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Mitch. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Is the Apple Watch Ultra. And this is an expensive item. It's $799, but they are on sale right now on Amazon for I think it's $740. And so you can save $60 right now on Amazon. Delivery dates on these push out to January, depending on what band you want. If you want the green band instead of this orange, they are shipping those immediately. But otherwise, the other bands are on back order. And this watch, the way it comes is it comes with, you don't have a choice like on the other ones of choosing different bands. It's a combination deal. But it's very rugged. I was a little hesitant about this watch. I've had every watch, including the 8. I got the 8, and within the 14-day window, this came out, and I stood in line at the Apple Store and snagged one on the launch date. I tried it on to check out the weight and the size. I didn't have it on more than 15 seconds, and I knew that I was going to get one and that it was going to be fine. And it's probably the best Apple product that I've bought overall in the last several years. Now, why do you want one of these? Well, battery life is twice as long as the normal Series 7, Series 8, 36 hours. I'll go over that a little bit more later. The screen is 2,000 nits.
Mitch,
Yeah.
can you go a little slower because we're still having audio problems with you?
Okay. The screen is 2,000 nits, which you can see very brightly outside. It's a bigger size and it offers better protection. Has a titanium case and a flat sapphire screen, which both of which are very strong. Has an action button on the side, which I'll go over. It has a dual GPS tracking system, which is offered on this watch only, and it allows for more precise location accuracy, and that can come in handy, particularly if you're in an emergency situation out in the wilderness somewhere. And it has an emergency siren that you can turn on. I haven't tried it, but you can hear it. The rating is 600 feet away, and that's good too. So here's what it looks like. These are the 3 bands that are available. The Alpine Loop, which I have one of those that came with the watch. It hooks on with a titanium hook that goes through. You'll see more of that a little bit later. This band is great if you're going to be in the wilderness and you don't want your band slipping off, because it hooks on and you've got to unhook it to get it off. The Trail Loop is a Velcro, and it's really a nice band. It's my favorite. It's very thin, and I like it a lot. But again, if you were out in the wilderness and accidentally you got that Velcro off, it could slip off your arm, I guess. That's why they recommend this one for outside. And then this is the Ocean Band, which is silicone, and I have one of these on order from a knockoff store, and because I want to try it out. These bands are $99 at Apple, and I have I've bought several, I'm going to say 4 different ones from different vendors on Amazon, which were knockoffs of the Trail Band, and I returned all of them because this metal right here was not a really professional fit like Apple. So be warned of that. Then I went to eBay and I thought, well, I'm going to give this guy on eBay a try. That sells a lot of different bands, and I ordered from him. It's a little more expensive. It was $18 or $19. I ordered 2 of them from him, and they were perfect. They were almost identical in quality to the app. So that's where I ordered my Ocean Band that's coming this Friday. Can you hear me okay?
We still have some problems, but you're going okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So here's the battery life. Normal use 30 hours, and that's a good estimate. You can easily get 42 hours. And I've tested that. I know Jeff Boers tested it, and a couple of my other friends who have one of these. And then 60 hours on the low power mode. I've seen videos on that where people are getting much more than that. I have not tried the low power mode, so I can't tell you. Okay, now let's look at the watch. So it has this dual antenna system that I mentioned for more accuracy and location. It has dual speakers that improve audio volume for using Siri and making phone calls. Then it has this action button, which can be programmed or customized to do different things. I use mine for fitness. So I just hit that and it goes right to the fitness area and I choose the workout that I want. This is really nice. I do like it, but I think in the future, I'd like to see them have it so that you program this to do more things. Although you can program it to pick up a shortcut. So if you're good at making shortcuts, you can get a shortcut into this. And then it has the siren that I mentioned, 600 feet range. Okay. It has a side button that will show your dial, and will also show, if you hold it in, it'll go to the emergency call, medical ID, access to the siren mode, and so on. And it's bigger, so you can use it while you have gloves on. The crown is bigger. It also has 3 micro array microphones, and they pick the best one. So if the wind's blowing, it'll pick the one that's out of the wind, and so it helps in clarity a lot for the microphone. Okay, I mentioned the crown, and then it does have a depth gauge that goes to 40 meters, about 120 feet. I've not tried that out at all, but that's a good feature, and it's gotten good reviews from people who do dive. So that goes over all the buttons. Now let's talk a little bit about the bands. I mentioned it. Again, this is a Velcro. It's got a little strap here. It's easy to pull off. This one, here's that hook I was talking about, where it goes through a loop, but it actually hooks on, so it's not fall off your wrist at all. And these look like plastic in this photo, but they are actually titanium. Now, this is not titanium on the Ocean Band. It is a synthetic. And the Ocean Band weighs the most of all of them. And as you can see, it hooks on like a regular band. And this comes off and can be adjusted for your wrist size to tuck it in. So those are the 3 bands. I have all of them. I also want to put a plug in for Nomad. Nomad has excellent bands. I got their sports band that I use on this a lot. And they have a 25% off site-wide for everything on their site for the next 3 or 4 days. That's Nomad. Okay, so here's all 3 watches that Apple offers: the Ultra, and the Series 8, and the SE. The SE is a really great value. It does a lot of things. But I want to mention the Ultra and the size. A lot of people say, oh my gosh, it's so big and I have small wrists. If you're concerned about that, go on to YouTube and just put in Apple Ultra Watch small wrist. You'll come up with 2 or 3 videos, a couple from women, who have small wrists, who have this thing and love it, and they don't think it's too big. It looks pretty big on their wrist, but they are happy with it. So I would suggest you look at some of those. And again, if you get it from Amazon, right now, Amazon for policy is extended until the end of January. So you got a lot of time to try this and other products out. If you get it from Apple, if you can get it from Apple at the store, because online, I think they're really backlogged into January, you've got a 14-day return period. So take advantage of that if you have any, but I don't have regrets in getting this. I had a friend come over to my house and he was helping me with a project, and he's a real Apple guy and gets watches every other year or so. And he said, "Oh, that's the new watch. It looks so big and heavy. Here, try it on." He tried it on, and he looked up at me and he said, "You cost me $800." So he went out and got one that night. I had another fellow who it was in Denver. I talked to him about it, and he ordered one and just loves it. So, and Jeff Bohr also has one. So I wouldn't back at all. Now, I threw this in. I went over this chart the last time I presented, but it shows all the features that all of the watches offer. I'm not going to go over all these, but they'll be in the video if you want to take a closer look at what the Ultra has in the Series 8, Series 7, and the SE2. And again, that SE2 for the price is a real value if you don't need these other kind of features. Okay, now she asked me to do a little, so there's one more on the wall. And she asked me to do a little bit on the AirPod Pro 2, which I have. And I really am glad I got these. And I see Amazon, I pulled this off of Amazon today. They're on sale for $199 on Amazon. And again, here's that return policy on all the Prime stuff you buy on Amazon until January 31 of 23. Now, Apple has these on sale too. You pay $250, but you get a $75 gift certificate. Now, read the fine print, because the gift certificate is only good on certain products. So you think, well, I'll get a $75 gift certificate and then I'll buy another pair. Well, you can't do that. Or I'm going to buy an iPhone Pro, or I'm going to buy certain computers. And so read the fine print, because certain products are excluded from that $75 coupon. And then I just wanted to quickly go over the new features of this, of these AirPods. And the big thing is it has an H2 new processor. You get a little longer time with it. You can get an emoji on it if you order it from Apple. It has you can charge it with the Apple Watch charger. It has volume control on the side by sliding up and down. Now that takes a little getting used to, and I haven't gotten too used to it yet. But even the review videos say it's you have to work with it to get the feel of it. The case has a speaker in it, so that if you have the case closed and misplace these in your home, you can do Find My and it'll make a noise. And so that's really great. And it also comes with one more extra small EarPod that comes with it. So that's all I have on this. I did want to mention one thing. I have that new mouse that was gone over earlier, and there's a new version of that out, and it's the 3S. And they just came out with that about a month ago, and I did get that on Amazon to try it out, and I love it. All of that I have, Chita.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. We're going to work on your audio, but otherwise, thank you so much for that. And thank you for going over all of those. we want to cover some of the questions that you may have in the chat. And John Krasinski, can you unmute yourself and ask your question about the Sonos speakers?
Yes, we have our own personal iTunes library on a MacBook in one of our rooms, and actually it's in Linda's sewing room. And we're wondering if we can use the Sonos speakers to play that personal library from our MacBook. And I think Dan may have responded in the chat that we can do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can set it up with like I have my library on an iMac in the kitchen, and I'm able to play all of that music. It's a shared library, and Sonos can recognize that. I also forgot to mention with Sonos, it's all wireless, so no wires except to plug it in, which is
Okay,
my
great.
wife loves.
I have a
Thank you.
question regarding, thank you as well.
Mhm.
Is Thread incorporated, the Thread technology incorporated in Sonos speakers?
They have their own mesh network, so they do not go on to, well, it goes onto your network, but then they communicate with each other through their own network. So I don't know if it's
So no thread,
threaded,
so
but
no thread, okay.
yeah. But I have not had any problem with them, and like I said, I've got 20 of them in my house, and there's been no problem with them.
Okay. All right. Not necessarily looking for if there's a problem, but the Thread software technology allows, your low-level devices to create their own little network. So I was wondering if
Yeah, so maybe I misunderstood, and you probably know more about Thread. It creates its own network, so they communicate with each other, and other things do not interfere with it. So that's that. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but it is its own network.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Jill Patton, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, I just bought myself a smart TV, a smallish one for my bedroom. And like most modern slim televisions, the sound isn't to my liking. I've got a Bose speaker, which is rather similar to the Sonos one. But I don't really know whether I'll be able to use that with the TV that I've got. Would I be able to use the Sonos one? It's a Hisense TV. I don't know whether you know that manufacturer.
It depends on the TV. You would have to get the Sonos Playbar. The Sonos, they have a couple of them, and the Sonos Playbar hooks up to the to your TV, and they sound phenomenal. And I also want to add, I'm a huge fan of Sonos. They are not like Bose. Bose, you can't go and pair these together. You're not going to be able to fill your whole house. And I see several people in here do have Sonos, and they can attest to it. It's just phenomenal when I can put all 20 speakers on the same music. If we have a holiday party, they're just slow in the background. No matter where anyone goes in our house, they're all listening to the same thing. It truly is just really, really cool. But also, when I want to rock out to Michael Jackson, I just put it in my office and I turn it up loud and close my door, and Beth can be listening to NPR on hers. You can't do that with Bose. You can't do that with anything else that I know of. It's truly astounding at what you can do with these and how well they sound. But back to your question, Playbar. You'll need a Playbar to hook it up to the TV, and they have a couple of them.
Playbar, right? Okay, thank you.
All right. So you were just talking about so you can group your speakers together, but you can still have different speakers playing different things at different locations.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Okay. Johan, you have a question? Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? Or is that just a comment?
Yes, it's a comment about the soundbar. Probably connects Bose or other brands via HDMI or standard optical Toslink cable.
Thank you, Johan. All right. Do we have any more questions from anyone? If you want, you can raise your hand. And don't unmute yourself, please. Do not unmute yourself. If you have a question, please let me know by raising your hand, and we'll get to you as quickly as we can. Well, Alan, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Does that sound bar have to only work with a smart TV, or do you connect it to the TV through an HDMI port in the back of the TV?
HDMI or Toslink, and most TVs have one or the other, if not both. So.
Okay. And how much does that sound bar cost?
Oh God, I'm going to say they're not the cheapest speakers, but you get what you pay for. The sound bars, they have a couple of them now. They used to be $400. I think they're now $250 or $300, but I don't know off the top of my head. So
okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Alan. Karen, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
What was the model number of that Sonos speaker? Because I see there's one that's voice controlled.
Yeah, so the one that I have, this is an older one, so it's not voice controlled. And actually, I believe this is an S1. And they just replaced it with, I believe it's still called an S1, and it has voice control. I want to say, as of last year, they had, it's called the One. They had one where you could even, if people, I know some people don't like the idea of it being voice controlled. They did have one where you could still get it without voice control if they don't want anyone, privacy. It was a little bit cheaper, but I don't know if they still have that. But this is the one, and it's great sounding.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I want to comment on a point that Ed Adams put in the chat. Elgato has I want to call it a Stream Deck app that is $24 a year that you can use on your iPhone. Does that require like a cloud account, and actually does Stream Deck require a cloud account?
Stream Deck does not require a cloud account. It's plugged physically in. I tried the iPhone app. I did not like it because when you're doing this kind of stuff and you're working on your keyboard, you like that tactile feedback so you don't have to look at the phone. So to me, don't even bother. That's my recommendation, because otherwise you're looking at your phone, and now you got to go to that. There's nothing like the tactile feedback of a real button, but it is not cloud-based.
All right, I agree with you on that. All right, so hopefully if we've given you any ideas on what you might get for the holiday season, let us know. Raise your hand, let us know. If you have any other questions, please raise your hand and we'll get right to you. Jerry, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Jerry Schultz.
I don't have a question. I was just going to add to Dan's. I have a bunch of HomePod minis. I had some Sonos a while back, and I don't need to go into all the reasons why I switched, but I didn't want I wanted the voice control, and I did not want their voice control for privacy reasons, because I believe because I like Apple's privacy. I won't try to say that they are better speakers than the Sonos, but you can control them independently. So we have 4 speakers in our house, and you can put any of them in any combination and listen to anyone independently. So they are cheaper. They may not have the sound quality, but Apple has not done the best job of allowing you to control them. I have lots of problems trying to control my HomePod minis, make them do what I want when I want, and get information about them.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Jerry. Frank, did you get your question answered about Thread? Dan, can you put the spotlight back on you?
Put the spotlight back on me? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
No, I never heard the term before, and so this is new to me, and I'm always trying to get things bundled in my house to work in different ways. So
Thread is a new technology that is being built into devices, and the Apple 4K version 2 has Thread technology built into it. And of course, I bought my model like a month before that came out, right? So yeah. what it's doing is it's almost like a low frequency technology, low radio frequency technology, that it's going to allow your low level devices to create their own network so that it does not boggle down your Wi-Fi network. So,
And Sonos, I just looked it
Yes.
up. They have a thread protocol and IPv6 based low power mesh networking technology for Internet of Things, home automation products. And like you said, basically it doesn't interfere with your network. So yes, it is that.
right. So as your Wi-Fi network or your devices grow in your home, because I believe I have like 55 right now, and some devices, you can only have so many, or we sort of don't know where that's going, but some of your devices don't need to take up the Wi-Fi. So that's why Thread was invented. And it's a consortium with Apple, Google, I think Meta, all the big name technology is working to create this Thread technology.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I should add, you're going to see an Ethernet port. So you can, if you don't want to bog down turns it into non-wireless, but if you have a house wired for it or whatever, you can do Ethernet port as well.
Ethernet is the bomb. I'm sorry. Who knew?
Yep. And like I say, I mean, I don't know if the newer ones, this is an older one, but I don't know if but there it is.
Can you talk to the Sonos to do things like you do the Amazon Echo?
It has Echo built into it, Amazon's Echo. It does, Apple's it does use AirPlay, but you have to have AirPlay too. It uses Apple's new network and it does it through the phone, but you can use AirPlay with it. And it uses Google Home, and they have their other thing. I don't know how far it goes with, like, will it tell me the sports scores of the LA Rams? I don't know. But it does at least on the very, you can say, play me some Pink Floyd in the living room, and it'll play Pink Floyd in the living room.
Okay.
All right, wonderful. Joe Grillo, so glad that I was helpful in helping you get a new stand. Hope you love it. All right, do we have any last question? Mitch, go ahead, unmute yourself. We'll see if we can understand you, Mitch.
Okay, I was gonna say, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I was just gonna say that I have the Sonos, the latest soundbar hooked up to my TV. I also have the bass, and I have 4 of the speakers that I'm holding up, 2 in my office and 2 in the living room for surround sound. And I just can't say enough about that system. And I also have 4 of the Apple HomePods, the mini ones, and sometimes they're a little problematic, but I do like them.
Okay,
And
wonderful.
That's all I wanted to add.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today. And again, I hope you got some inspiration and are ready to go shopping. The Apple event starts Friday. Mitch mentioned it, where you can get discounts, rebates on some of the Apple devices that you purchase. And he's right, read the fine print, because I believe even though it says you'll get an Apple card, I think they will take that immediately off the price of the device that you're purchasing at that time. So read the small print, but go to the apple.com and you can look up their Apple event that's starting on Friday, Black Friday. All right, Dan, all yours.
All righty. Well, thank you to, myself, but thank Chita, Mike, and Mitch on some great ideas. There's some good stuff, broad range of prices, which is always nice. I will attest, I also do have an Apple Watch Ultra, and I absolutely love it. Mitch is the one that got me I was talking with him, and he suckered me into it. Thanks, Mitch. But I absolutely love it. It is probably the most expensive thing that we talked about, but the battery life on it. And when I don't have these on, I can actually read my watch, which is awesome. So thank you to everyone. And next week, we are going to have with us Michael Rose. And he's going to be, actually, I found this interesting for the people that have been around for Apple for a while. He was the editor and leader of TUAW. I haven't heard that in a long time. It was a popular technology blog,
Yes,
in
yes,
the
it was.
2000s. So he was involved with that. Anyway, he's going to be talking, about how to demo software and things like that. So look forward to hearing from him. And as always, thank you for your support, and everyone have a happy Thanksgiving for those in the States here. And we'll see you next week.
All right, wonderful. Be well, everyone.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very
You
much.
can unmute yourself and say, hey.
Hey, it was
Hey.
good.
Hey.
Very
Thanks
much,
so much.
everybody. Good,
Thanksgiving.
good session.
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be well. Be well.
All right, I'm going to shut down the meeting here.
All right. Thank you. Same to
Great.
you.
Everyone
All
have a
right.
good
Bye.
Thanksgiving. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanksgiving.